The problem is we are completely in conflict with our biology the way we live.
We're forced to supplement now.
We almost got divorced in 2000, paperwork and all. I got scared and ran away.
I mean, I've been marinating in happiness research for 15 years, and I've never heard anybody put. Today, I'm going to introduce you to two uber humans that gave us a number of great life lessons. Laird Hamilton, surfing legend. You've seen him on the cover of magazines, and his wife, Gabby Reece, who's a volleyball player, New York Times bestseller, and was once voted the most beautiful woman in the world. These guys have hit middle age in the way the rest of us all want to be. They're fit, they're happy, they're in a great relationship, and they give us 3 counterintuitive tips on how to arrive there. Not only what exercise to do, but how to do it for long enough so we actually get the effect we want. Number 2, we've all heard of this idea of an empty nest. They have completely reinvented the empty nest to be something that we can look forward to. And finally, they draw their strength from the secrets of Hawaiian traditions that will blow your mind. I cannot wait for you to tune in and for you to learn how to really do middle age in a way that you not only look good, but you feel good and you're in love. I'm going to snap right into it. I'm just going to say, like, I know you guys are in your 50s or 60s, but you radiate the energy of 2 teenagers in love.
We do?
Where does this energy come from?
Comes from the universe.
You just channel it?
Comes from the universe, just an antenna. Maybe a clean signal.
I mean, do you consciously organize your life are you energetic because you've tried to be energetic, or you're just genetically lucky?
I mean, so much is genetics, right? But then imagine I met Laird in 1995. So I've had the great fortune to live with somebody who I would say that Laird in a different way influences me more in this way than I influence him, which is in relationship to the energy, to being youthful. Maybe I could have gotten bogged down by the narrative. Mm-hmm. I think I would have always had a good health practice, but the other piece of that, right, is your beliefs and your limiting beliefs. And I think Laird doesn't really think about that. I think he is completely in touch with the fact that he's 61, but I think he's more in touch with his goals and things that excite him. And the world sort of tells you, oh, well, now you're this age, so you should feel this way or think this way. And so I think that you don't do that. I think you really follow your passion to be in the sea, and then all the things that it would take, and keeping curiosity alive. And so I think that's really given me permission to live like that for the last almost 30 years.
Yeah. Well, and I maybe some of it has to do with my worshiping of her, you know?
I read it.
So some of my worshiping,
you were voted the most beautiful woman in the world.
Well, like
so some of my worshiping
40 years ago or something.
Worshiping of her does maybe gives her energy.
Listen, but having good love and having someone to say, hey, I feel this way today. Don't kid yourself. The value of that is very powerful because life has all its ups and downs.
Yes.
And
if
so
somebody has your back. And
to say to somebody, hey, I feel overwhelmed today, or I do feel anxious about one of our children, or the unknown, or our business, or whatever the things are. So certainly that is, obviously, you're a studies guy. If you look at the Harvard study, it's like,
I wrote a cover story for National Geographic on happiness, which is data. And you can boil it down to the 4 following things. Something to do, somebody to love, something to look forward to, and something to give back.
Yeah.
Those 4 things. If you have those, and you clearly have, I guess, pretty much all of them.
I think we try. I think, we were joking. We read the Courage to be Disliked during COVID. And I think it just summarizes this idea of to be of service. I'll go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, so you were at our house earlier. We, open our home to have people if they want to come train.
I just love that. I traveled the world to try to understand why people live the longest. And it's not rapamycin, it's not metformin, it's not stem cells. The impact of community, the impact of having a group of people you can trust and you can be around on a bad day is more powerful than any known supplement or superfood. And when I came in, I went down to your pool, and you had kids in there, you had your friends over, you had somebody from London. You were all playing, but it was a sense of play where you felt like a vortex of kind of, if I may say, love. And then, Laird, you were saying that you have this hot box, which is a truth box too, where you can all be vulnerable and speak your truth in an environment of stress. I mean, it's hot as, HE double toothpicks, but it's ultimately a perfect environment to bond.
Beautiful environment. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about having the kids, older people, like having the whole group together and not like, hey, we're with the 15-year-olds are all together, the adults are over here, like that kind of separation. I think when you include everybody in that, and then you're doing something that everybody can kind of do, like everybody can go sit in an uncomfortable, hot sauna, and I mean, maybe some people less than other people, but we can all go and do the thing. So there's not like, hey, they can't do it, we can do it, which I think that separation, I mean, I think a lot of our stuff comes from separation, that we're even within, I mean, you can never feel more alone than you do in a giant city. And yet that's where all the people are.
Where people don't really care about
That's
you.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it seems like small communities do that, and maybe we just have a little community.
Do you proactively invite people over, or are people just like constantly say, can I come over, Laird? And you say, all right.
It's both.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have an open door. So we have an open door, and so all you have to do is walk in, right? So I think it's part of that. I think having an open door, and then energy attracts energy, right? So at a certain point, you just find people that are curious, that are interested, and then I have I always talk to Gabby about it. I call it a honey line, which is if you find a bee, you follow a bee, and it finds another bee, and then pretty soon there's a group of bees, and pretty soon
you have a hive,
and then you have the honey. And so so it's a little bit of that, where like-minded people, then they have a friend that, hey, my friend wants to come over, and the kind of person that they are, and then all of a sudden they bring a friend, and coincidentally they have a similar value system or interest. Or
do you ever say to each other, enough of the friends, it's just going to be the two of us? Or is it always a hive of honey and love with other people?
Well, we can just go to our room.
Yeah.
So we can just be like, hey, have a great time. See you later. And
Yeah. Sometimes I
hide
hide in my office, or I don't have the capacity to do that. But it's that idea too. We've both individually and as a family said, we're going to make space for people. And part of being an adult, is being that consistent that way. I think
as hard as it is sometimes to be an adult.
Adulthood's overrated.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you two, and I will admit I was kind of intimidating. I met you once at some Google event, but then we were tapped at another Google event to do kind of what we're doing right now, except in a big auditorium of people. And I'd read your bios, and on paper, you guys are intimidating as hell. I mean, you're Olympic athletes, and you're a model, and you've developed all these fantastic techniques and set these records around surfing. And I mean, you are the type of people who you would expect to be snobby and better than thou. And I have to say, I was 180 degrees off, because Laird, I kind of consider you as like the consummate alpha male. And the adjective, when people ask me, what was Laird like? I said, well, actually, he was kind of sweet. And you, Gabby, I mean, you're also very sweet, but you're also kind of I see you as kind of a tough-minded part of the relationship here. Maybe a little bit more of the dominant one. I may or may not be right on that one. But anyway, I just came away from that conversation with you, feeling like I've met people who've not only kind of mastered life, mastered relationship, but understand what's really important when it comes to interacting with other humans. Do I have it kind of right?
you have parts of it right. You have parts of it not so right. I think.
Give me the wrong parts first.
Well, listen. I think. Let's say you saw that I'm out. When you're at a place like this, there just happens to be a lot of guys, right, and men around. And what I have found being around Laird and men like Laird is oftentimes alpha males are the sweetest ones. People get it wrong. what is the quote from To Be a True Warrior, one must be compassionate, right? From Natural Born Heroes. So I think people think tough is I'm tough. Really tough is not like that. And so Laird is very sweet. And then maybe I'm kind of the through line in the house. So
that's well put.
That tough-minded thing you're seeing is I'm sort of have a through line, and then behind me when when it hits the fan is Laird, right?
What do you mean?
So Laird can be playful and moving to and fro. He's also maybe I would say if our mentalities, Laird would be more of an artist mentality, where I have a different type of mentality. I have my own creativity, but it just shows up differently. So the freedom for Laird to be moving in the way that's best, we utilize Laird that way. But if, like, for example, a fire comes or something's happening, it's certainly going to be Laird that handles it. So I think you're right, but my girls often say that people will say, which one of your parents is dominant? Because they're curious. And both of the girls say it's sort of like this weird dual. But it's more like, hey, you go. No, okay, you go. So it's dominance for the sake of what's best for the group in the moment, not for dominance sake. And, humility. I don't want to learn the hard way. So by being loving or humble or kind, it's also because hopefully I'm smart enough to know better by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and usually when you see people that are putting off a tough persona is based out of fear. They're actually scared.
Yeah.
And so they make up by holding a shield up, right? They hold their shield up and I think, for me, I feel like part of the relationship that Gabby and I have is she's the steady flame, right? And my flame's off or I'm a flamethrower. So it's like, she's got she's the steady burn. And so you could, if you just observe it, you'd be like, oh, well, that's the flame. But then, behind that flame is either a flame that's off or playing, and then it's the flamethrower. Like, so at the end of the day, if at the very end, it ends up probably being me at the very end of it, just because part of that is a male thing. Like, maybe I have an ability to throw myself ahead of everything, like to the point where I'll take it all and maybe I'll make it and maybe I won't. And I think I think a lot of it we seem to live out of our biology, like as male and females, and every male has a feminine side and every female has a masculine side. And what are the balances that they have individually, and then how are the balances in the relationship? Like, how do we balance that?
And we're in a cooperation when it comes really right down to it.
But you're also incredibly disciplined. You work out for hours a day. You've been fantastically successful in business and in sports and in almost all. What is the origin of that drive? Were you born with that, or did a parent instill it in you, or did you have trauma, or you're just a big dreamer and you fulfilled your own dreams? Or, well, I guess most of the people listening to this podcast are looking for actionable. What can I do? What can I do to be in my mid-50s and in love and successful and have energy?
I would say,
what's the origin of it?
To your description, or I would say yes. When you said all those things you said, I would be yes. Like, was there trauma? Did I have incredible people that had, in my life? My mother was incredibly driven and had energy beyond energy, and then do you have, aspirations, goals, dreams? I think it's all of those things. I think there's, at different times, it's different pieces. And then also I think it's about the journey, that it's not about the destination. So it's a continual pursuit of the relationship, pursuit of your own physical, spiritual growth, of your own development as a person, your physical, like all of those things are a constant pursuit, not just a destination or an arrival, like you've arrived and then you stop. So I think it's a combination of all of those things.
You mentioned trauma. can you say what the trauma was and overcoming it? Was that part of the success? Or
I mean, I think
did
I've
it
had,
inhibit you?
I think I've had, I mean, I
Other
think
than
I had,
being left at sea and
So
saving
I've
your
had,
friend's
I've had
life. And that's,
multiple little traumas along the way, whether they're injuries or.
what can you say some of them that sort of stick out?
Well, I think you should start with, Laird was raised in Hawaii, loving Hawaiian culture and Hawaii. And if you ask him his culture, it would be Polynesian culture, but being an outsider. So I often say, like, as a witness, Laird has a deep love for the ocean, obviously. But part of maybe being accepted into that culture might have been by proving through surfing. So I think that was
so
big.
that's a piece of it. That being an outcast, I think. I mean, having
Huli or Howley, whatever you say.
Howley, yeah.
If you look at his school picture, he's literally like, the
only one of my kind. But I think there's that. I think it's okay. Single mom, that probably has a, I'm never going to say poor me, but like somewhat impoverished. Like growing up being impoverished. All of those different pieces that. I mean,
And
again,
was that a gift in a way, or was
blessing?
How so? How does poverty?
Blessing.
Because I think a lot of people say, well, I don't have money. I can't achieve what these guys, Laird and Gabby, they live in Malibu. And now you're saying that actually poverty was a
best thing. I mean, it's terrible when you're in it, like everything. It's like being sick, and it's terrible when you're sick. But as soon as you feel good, you're like, oh my gosh, feeling good is great.
But how does poverty catalyze to this physical success and this life
that
success?
You realize that through that. Well, first of all, when you're in an impoverished situation, whatever that looks like, some greater than others, it's always about work.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about work. You're not getting out of the work, right? You're not getting out of the effort, whatever it is. If
you learn a work ethic.
If you're hunting, and you have no food and you're going to try to hunt so you can get food, you're probably going to hunt hard and long. If you're trying to buy things and you have money, well, then you're going to need to go to work to earn money. Like if you're trying to become good at something and get some sort of mastery in it, it's going to take effort. And that all starts with that kind of foundation.
What would you say to a poor kid listening to you right now? How does he take that poverty and turn it into something that makes him a success or her a success?
Dreams come true.
So you dream through that poverty.
Dreams come true, and so you can do. I mean, of course, if you're 5 feet tall, you can't be 7 feet tall, but you can achieve your dreams. You can. I mean, and let's be realistic. You have to have realistic dreams, otherwise they're fantasies, and those are different. A dream and a fantasy those are two separate things. Fantasy is you thinking you can become something that you're not capable of. But if you're realistic about what your dream is, you can absolutely. I mean, at least still there's a possibility in America.
Well,
I
think there's something important, Dan, about that. Like the way I grew up, I had the same situation, but in
Florida, right?
No, I grew up actually first in Long Island.
Virgin Islands.
Yeah, but first, not with my parents in Long Island, is you can learn a lot about the ways that you either don't want to do it or how you could do it different, instead of just being a victim to your environment, paying attention to what doesn't seem to work and figure out, well, what would work in lieu of this? And then also teaching young people, if they're in these situations, typically life gives us, I always say, low cards and high cards. What are your high cards? How do you play the high cards? Because what happens is we get stuck in, I was born to this, so I'm stuck in this. And the fact is, even though it might be harder because you know less people, you don't have as much opportunity, access, things like that, there's usually something in your deck that can get you out of it.
Fall might be my favorite time of the year in Wisconsin. The air turns sharp and sweet at the same time. I can hop on my bike or roll across the lake to catch the last colors of autumn. It's that perfect balance of movement and stillness, the kind of thing you find in every blue zone I've studied. In the world's longest lived places, people don't wait for the weekend to move their bodies. It's just built into daily life. Chopping wood, walking to a friend's house, gathering to cook together. Those little rituals that keep you strong and connected. When I head out for a trip later in the season, I'll open up my home on Airbnb so others can hike the same trails, breathe in that same crisp air, maybe even light a fire at the end of the day. It's the way to keep a place full of life, even when I'm not there, and share a little of what I love with someone else. Hosting fits naturally with my rhythm. Simple, purposeful, and part of sharing what I love most about this time of year. So if you have a place that sits quiet when you're not around, hosting it on Airbnb could be a rewarding way to share it and earn a little extra income along the way. After all, your home can do more than sit empty. It can help fund your next adventure. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. There's 50 million males who know who you are and who have a dad bod, and they want to be ripped at throughout manhood. They want to look like women. 50 million women would love to look like you and have your physical prowess. Is there kind of a cake recipe? The ingredients, the specific ingredients you can tell the average American what they could be doing to maybe not achieve your level of fitness and success, but get close. Have energy, be strong, have endurance.
I think to start out, if they're not lifelong, like we're lucky we come through being lifelong athletes, I would actually get your hormones checked. I would start there. I would actually get a look under the hood, because if you're saying people close to our age, if they're swimming upstream, it's very difficult. So maybe get that checked out.
Estrogen and testosterone.
All of it. Just get it checked, because then at least you sort of know what you're dealing with, and see if you can get that leveled out. And then all the practices. I mean, Laird wakes up and looks at the sun every single morning. Are you eating real food? How's your managing your stress? Moving your body consistently throughout a week, huffing and puffing, maybe at least 2 times a week,
I like that.
And lift heavy things, especially women. Women have got to get out of their mind this idea of I'm going to be too big. No, but lifting something heavy supports your system in a health way that I don't think that they really understand. Getting to bed, nobody likes to hear it. I think avoiding alcohol is probably pretty supportive of moving away from having a dad or mom bod or whatever that is. But also, like, you talked about the relationships, laughing, being silly, having fun, trying new things.
Having fun. Having fun.
Yeah.
Looking for something that you have fun doing, that's fun, that's not, because people can misconstrue fun with something that's negative. Like, I have a lot of fun when I go get drunk. That's not the kind of fun I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing something that you enjoy doing, that's fun, because you'll do it more and you'll do it longer. You just will. You won't, if you're in a gym and you're like, okay, I'm going to work out, you look at the clock, you go, oh, I worked out for an hour, okay, I'm done. I worked out for an hour. Instead of like, hey, I'm on a bike ride. Hey, I'm on a walk. Hey, I'm on a swim. Hey, I'm on a kayak. Hey, I'm on some activity where I am playing tennis. Hey, I'm playing pickleball. All of a sudden you're like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, you don't even look at the clock. You're like, this is having a great time. So I think, that also brings something else, I think, that's almost immeasurable to the system. You have a community, you're doing it with somebody else, and then again, you're not counting the thing, and then just that enjoyment. I think a lot of what we're doing, because it's called working out, right? It's not working in, and so in a way, a lot of it's
playing out.
Exactly.
I think you said something that's bigger than you think. So what I've learned from looking at these populations that actually live about 10 years longer than Americans do, without cardiovascular disease, without obesity, without type 2 diabetes, none of them are going to a gym. None of them are doing triathlons. They just live their lives. And for an American, this idea, if going to CrossFit is a chore, you might do it for a few weeks or months, but then you're going to quit.
Yeah.
Or you might want to run one marathon, but check that off my list. But this idea of doing something every day that you love, I think that insight is probably the biggest insight, because if you're not doing it, pretty much every day for most of your life, it ain't going to add years to your life.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and even gardening. Like, hey, I'm a gardener. Hey, I'm in the soil. I'm touching soil. I'm growing something. I'm getting fulfillment. I'm getting the beauty, or I'm eating the food. I'm squatting in a position that's making my hips makes me so I'm not going to fall down and break my hip. And I mean, I think there's so many things to.
But I also think Americans have a disadvantage in a different way. You're talking about these areas where the environment is conducive for that. Like if we could just go back to living how we have or we could. And so when we say the cake recipe, I think in a way, if you live sort of how people live here in the US, you actually have to kind of do a little more.
You have to supplement. You have to supplement your biology, like what you would be getting naturally
That it would
if
just
you were
happen.
living more harmoniously with nature, if you were outside more, if you were in the sunlight more. Because we've eliminated all these things, we're forced to supplement now.
We have to consciously get them.
I love that idea of supplementing.
Yeah.
We have to.
What else can you do? I think Americans, when it comes to health, we're at an enormous disadvantage. We live in a toxic food environment. 98 out of 100 food choices that we're confronted with when you go to a shopping mall, for example, or even a restaurant, they're bad.
Yeah.
We spend about 3 times as much time in our cars than our parents did.
Yeah.
We don't walk. So we've engineered almost all physical activity out of our lives. So how do you supplement the American life with the necessary ingredients so we can fulfill the capacity of our bodies, both in energy and strength, but also in longevity?
Well, one luxury that we have that I want to point out is we live closer to nature.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really taking first that into consideration. And you said, our cars, but we also have blue light, we have EMFs, we have all kinds of things that we're combating. And that
invisible stuff.
And that could stress you out to the point where it's
unconsciously.
Like, forget it. That's why if you have these practices that sort of boost you and fortify you.
Tell me the practices. That's the important thing.
Go to bed early, wake up early. First, have rituals rather than call them
breath work, taking long walks, like barefoot, like being.
Keep going. I love
grounding. I think eating probably less. Eating when you're hungry. I think if you're a middle-aged woman, by the way, fasting may not be your friend. So don't just do everything that men do your age. When you eat that food, how does that make you feel?
I see.
When you move that way, how does that make me feel, right? So Laird and I, even though we have some crossovers, we do certain things differently. We have a neighbor, we joke, to be the CEO of your own health. You cannot expect for Laird and I to sit here and give you the formula and tell you how to do it. Experiment with your food. Try these different modalities. See about the sauna. See about walking backwards, doing all these different things. How do you feel? Because that goes back into the internal practice, which ultimately is king, which is, what's going on with me? How are my relationships? Do I feel satisfied in my life? What do I need to do different? Do I need to apologize to somebody? Do I need to confront somebody? And we've removed that as part of our health practice. And I think all of those things go together.
Yeah. For me, I would, because I'm a little simpler than Gabby.
Are you though?
You can see that. In some ways. Well, in the simplicity, within the simplicity lies the complexity.
So much more
within the simplicity lies the complexity.
Okay.
So within the simple, because the simplest things are
you tell yourself
the most
whatever
complex.
you need to.
But I would go just right to
what?
Light.
Yeah.
Light.
Let's say that. What? Just looking at the sun, or
sunlight.
Like being in the sunlight, having sunlight, conscious of what kind of light you're being exposed to. Reduce the volumes of the negative light. Increase the volumes of the positive light. We know sunlight. No sunlight, no life.
Yeah.
Why are sunrises and sunsets so beautiful?
Interesting.
You know why they're beautiful? Because they're good for you. And then we said they were beautiful. It's like food that's really good for you. You go, this tastes great. When it's natural, not before we
such a cool
played
insight.
with it. So it's good for you. So first light, then dark. Then you need the dark because we're polarity. So we have to have dark.
So you're not watching
first
TV
light,
or blue light after
sunset? Exactly. So first we need the good light, then we need the darkness. Then we need to be aware of the exposure of all the negative stuff. And then we need good water. Got to have good water. And our biggest thing with water is got to have water that you're trying to get good water.
Okay, I live in Wisconsin. Where do I get good water?
You could get it at your house if you had good filtration.
So tap water.
Filtration, though.
Are you
Filtered
guys afraid of these plastic bottles and microplastics? And
I try not to be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
I just try to move towards the things I think are probably a little better. Water that's been in plastic bottles and heated up and transported and all that stuff, it's sort of like,
Yeah. Doesn't mean if I'm really thirsty, I won't just grab a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
So I'm not that crazy about like, oh, I just don't even touch it.
But it's not the habit.
What are you doing on a daily basis?
Yeah.
It's the accumulation. It's like a little poison over a long period of time is a lot of poison. I believe that as you look at the priority, that it gets further down the list. I think I've been fortunate personally, and both Gabby and I, because of our sports, because of our upbringing, that we were we already had the foundations. We had the sun exposure. We had darkness in our houses. We were around minimal electrical bombardment of all kinds. And then we had good water because we were on these islands and there was a lot of good water. So, and then we get into, food, and then we get into movement, I think, is only after you have the foundational things.
all right, I'm going to make you guys drill down on food and movement because that's what people are obsessive. I'm of course
Well, you just said
drinking
something, you said something important.
Yeah.
It was an accident.
No. In all of this stuff, you can't look at it as with this sort of stress, because that's what happens. People, they start moving into health and then that becomes a whole new thing. One thing about Laird and I separately, these are the things we do. And if they happen, because we do build a framework for them to happen most times, but when they don't happen, nobody's freaking out.
But you want to be able to go.
What are some of the
Food?
details?
Just real food.
Well, okay,
it's not
let's go-
complicated. It isn't complicated. Everybody's made it
I'll give you an
complicated.
Let's
I'm
start
push
here.
back on that.
Really?
We get about 350 marketing messages that rinse over our
enough.
psyche every
I
single
don't-
day.
I don't
see any of
This
that.
superfood.
Yeah.
This fortified cereal.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Americans are bamboozled.
Yeah.
And you guys have seemed to cut through a lot of the noise. And anyway, you've achieved the outcomes everybody wants. You by the way, you've lived twice the life expectancy of human beings for 99% of human history already. And you're in great shape and you're energetic. So you're obviously doing something right. And so what you feel is right has, and so do you. I mean,
well, I would go.
You're
I
the
would
most
go with
beautiful
plants
woman
and
in the
animals.
world.
Oh yeah.
I would go with plants and animals first. Like if you made it real simple and you said let's simplify it to make it so you go plants and animals, which means
what do you eat for breakfast, for example?
I don't usually eat breakfast because I don't like to. First of all, when you eat, if you eat a big meal, it makes you tired.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to eat it. And so it makes you tired because you're digesting and that takes blood and work. So I'm not going to eat a big meal and then go and try to do an activity or multiple activities for hours on end. I want to be empty. I want to be somewhat empty. I personally.
When's your first meal?
What works for me, it hasn't been yet.
12 or 1.
12, 1, 2, just depends on the day.
Yeah.
And then depending on activity, I might come out of activity and go right to fruit. But I start with a bunch of fat. I like fat. I'm a big...
So funny sounding. Here's this lean dude. Yeah, I like to go right for the
Yeah,
fat.
ghee, coconut oil.
Yeah.
And
Ghee,
without
coconut oil.
overhyping the...
Yeah.
We do caffeine full of fat, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah. And I can go like if with the cups of coffee I drink with the products. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
with those, so I can,
which I'm drinking right now with turmeric in it.
And I can drink. I'll drink 2 of those in the morning, and I can roll
sweet.
for 8 hours
Coconut
straight.
sugar.
What's that?
Coconut sugar.
Okay.
But I can roll for 8 hours on that. Like, so I can definitely move 6 hours in activity and somewhat high level activity without needing anything.
If I had an office job, I would either do that or I would, don't you think, stick to protein and healthy fat. I think for people in the morning. I think what's hard is if they do quick burning fuel, like if they do toast or cereal, I think that's a quick burning fuel with a sugar dump that crushes you. So I would rather than telling people, it's like, this is how we start, but also if they wanted something, I would start with a protein and some healthy fat. I mean, I know you're plant-based, so I honor that. So maybe it's some type of plant-based yogurt, or something where there's some fat in it,
Yeah.
and maybe even put in a supplement with a plant-based protein. If it was me, I would say eggs and avocado, something where I was getting protein and healthy, and I would even drizzle like some olive oil on there to get a little extra fat and some salt maybe. So just kind of actually encouraging people. It's sort of the liftoff of the day. If you can get that, breakfast is a little bit of a myth. It was sort of fabricated.
Yeah,
probably
it was
by
from Kellogg.
Right. So
To get you to eat cereal.
yeah, and we've gotten emotionally attached to like it's breakfast, it's lunch, it's dinner. So, but I honor that, whatever people have going, and also to have the strategy to plan ahead. I think where we get in trouble is you're on the go, all of a sudden you go, I'm feeling something, and then you grab what's available to you. So maybe the more important thing would be is to have a tiny bit of strategy if you're new to this and say, well, what am I going to eat? Should I bring it with me? Or where's the place near my office that I can get the thing I need and want? So I think having the strategy is maybe a little easier for people and doing it the way they want. Like Laird and I both do the coffee and the fats, but someone else might say, hey,
But she didn't
I
do
need
that
this.
in the beginning. I got her to kind of start doing it. I think it's
I used
up
to do the smoothies.
I think it's up to people to have a little exploration in the beginning to initiate seeing what works for them,
Yeah.
and how they feel. I've benefited from the way I've approached it. I know Gabby has, and I have other friends that have benefited. From what my understanding, you're kind of either burning sugar or you're burning fat. Like those are the two kind of things that you're rolling on. You're either over here in the sugar zone, which is why people.
Well, there's also something called glycogen.
Yeah.
If you haven't eaten in 12 hours or
Yeah.
so, you start burning this fairly simple carbohydrate.
Yeah, which is good. Like when I'm done with activity, I go right to fruit. Like that's the time the time when you're done with activity is then you can deal with sugar, and sugar goes into you and burns.
What will lunch be, or whatever you call that first meal of the day?
For me, it will probably have like some kind of meat and vegetable.
Or eggs and vegetables.
Yeah.
A protein and vegetables and protein.
Yeah.
Pretty much is
The one thing that we've learned, and actually even more having the brand, is when you want to eat the good fat, you want to eat with protein. You don't want to eat it with too much carbohydrate.
Why is
Right?
that?
Well, so when the way you're sort of rewarded, okay, the fat works best not with the sugar. So a lot of times what happens, people go, oh, I'm eating all this healthy fat, but they're also eating it coinciding with the carbohydrate. Now, having said that, so I just want to bring that clarification. So if people start doing more olive oil, more avocado oil, more coconut oil, that they're doing it with a protein, or the avocado with a protein, not necessarily with a carbohydrate. Now, having said that, if at night you will sleep better, you will recover better if you have carbohydrate. Like a sweet potato or something like that. So I don't ever want people to be afraid of any food, especially if it's real food, but you could pull levers that work in your favor by putting them together.
Yeah, the carbs and the sugar it's just, I'll give you the most exaggerated version is ice cream. Like that's
fat and sugar.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
deliciousness.
Which is amazing tasting, and again, I think
Is that a net positive or net negative, or kind of equal each other out?
No, that's one of the worst combinations you can do.
Fat and sugar.
Yeah.
And dairy and sugar especially. So it's just giving people like a couple things like, hey, this thing that you love to do, is there either an alternative that's quite good, or can you just make sure it only happens once in a while?
Yeah,
so
where's the timing? Where's the timing? Like, are you going to be able to burn it off or not? Are you just consuming that and then just sitting there?
It's usually at night.
So when
I would do it right after exercising.
I mean, I have a friend, Don Wildman, who started Bally's Health Clubs, and just a savage guy that, we had a saying, a hot fire burns any kind of wood. So it's like, I notice when I'm in a high physical kind of activity rhythm, my appetite is exponential, right? It's just, I get an exponential appetite. And then when I'm on a low activity, I find myself not as hungry, unless I've been kind of revved up. And you see a lot of professional athletes gain a lot of weight after they stop their sport, because they still eat the same way that they were when they were in their sport, but they stop the activity and they don't have the same activity output. So again, a hot fire burns any kind of wood.
But a hot fire also burns out more quickly. And I'm wondering, at 61,
yeah.
Do you ever think about the intensity with which you train? And indeed, might that be too hot a fire if longevity is something you might want?
I'm looking for other ways to do it. So, because at the end of the day, for me personally, I'm just trying to get tired. Like, I just know that I'm a better person when I'm tired. I sleep better, food's better. I can tolerate
I love
bad
that saying.
behavior from my children. Like, I'm just really, like, at the end, I'm just trying to get tired. If people were more tired, if the world was more tired, it would be a better world. Just because you're tired. You're too tired to be like, you know what, I really don't care about that. Like, I just need to eat. I just need to go to sleep. Like, and so for me,
how many hours of working out / playing out does it take you to get tired?
Depends on how intense it is. I can do breath work intensely enough to get exhausted. So it just depends. I mean, if I'm in the ocean, I have a different gear for that. Like, my body has developed over years, so I have an ability to get an energy from my system that I wouldn't get, but then I pay for that. Like, that comes with a cost when you have that kind of output. But personally, my training has gone from just all grinding away to a little bit more. There are some kind of, that's where the pool work is so great because of the lack of gravity, compression, allowing blood to flow through the lymphatic system. I mean, there's all these great things that the water does to you. You know, you do heat and ice, you know, thermoregulating, you do breath work. I mean, these are supportive things, yet they'll make you tired, but they won't undermine your joints and undermine your system. I mean, as far as longevity goes, you know, I think that everybody has a number. I don't know what my number is. You know, you could be healthy and 60 and get hit by a truck, and you could be 110 and be drinking whiskey and smoking a cigarette. So you're like, you know, where is the thing? But it's like the quality of life, being able to do what you want to do. And I think that's why it's important to have something you want to do. So then you have a reason to be able to try to be able to do it. So you're working like, it's like, I want to be in the ocean. I want to be riding waves. And so I need to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to be able to continue to do that. Because if I lose that, then I lose the real driving force that you know, besides feeling good and being tired.
We're both friends, I think, of Mark Sisson.
Yeah.
I love Mark Sisson.
Yeah, he was on this podcast too. He's my neighbor, actually.
Good neighbor.
But he was one of these just hard driving athletes, ran marathons and trained and pumped iron, was ripped. He's still ripped at 71.
Ripped. Yeah.
But now he believes in walking.
Yeah.
He'll tell you that running is not good for you, that it increases your chances of cardiovascular disease, and that it's catabolic. It doesn't burn fat like we thought it did, as hard on your joints. And I'm wondering if you guys have been on the forefront of all kinds of techniques to increase performance. I'm wondering if there's anything you guys have done over time where you've decided, actually, that wasn't that good for me, or that you've changed your opinion on, I thought that was going to be really good for me, but it wasn't.
I mean, for me, it was just repetitive motion. So volleyball was you pay a price for that. I mean, Laird's not going to get away from that in surfing.
Well, cycling for me, I did a lot of cycling, and it just hammered me. Shortened my psoas, probably led to like a knee ligament tear, and
that's why we have bikes without seats now. We take it up.
I saw those in your
we take them up the hill, and then you're standing and firing your glutes, and your psoas is extended, and you're still going to work hard.
Shorter periods of time. Yeah. Shorter periods of time, more intense,
look goofy.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of grinding over the years, like long grinding.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about, if that's taking a toll on your longevity.
Yeah,
and if you're ungrinding now.
Yeah, I'm definitely ungrinding. I'm doing a lot of ungrinding. I envy a new person. So you're talking to a group like 50, 40, 50, 60, like getting into stuff. I envy that person because their joints are all intact. I'm like, wow, cool. Hips that work, knees that work, ankles that work, shoulders
start all over again.
I'm like,
don't kid yourself.
You know, so you look
That's
at
real.
that.
So metabolizing everything you know about having worked out so hard, peak performance and everything. But now, let's just say I want to be 50 and ultimate health. What exercise regimen are you telling? So remember, 75% of Americans do not even get 20 minutes of physical activity a day. So that obviously isn't the route to longevity, but too much, running marathons isn't either. Yeah. So what's kind of the sweet spot for physical activity if you want to hit 50s and 60s and be full of energy like you two?
Walking, lifting weights, but smart. You don't want to do overhead presses.
And being in the sunlight, like being in the sunlight, like looking at, like being up to be able to see the sunrise, to look at the sunrise, to be able to see it, and to be able to be in the sunlight for, I mean, just again, solar panel. You're a solar panel. You're charging your solar panel. You got to charge your panel every day. So you got to get in direct sunlight on your body every single day. I would just I just go, hey.
That is so counterintuitive to what people think.
Exactly.
Exactly. Get out of the sun, you're going to get melted. You know,
oh, yeah.
Well, maybe not high noon.
Yeah.
Do your walk at high noon. Maybe do it earlier or later.
Yeah, to your point, sunset and sunrise.
Yeah.
And also, I think people don't,
actually.
like, if they don't mind looking silly, you've probably seen the knees over toes guys, like walking backwards. I think also what
Sounds
happens.
like Monty Python.
I do a lot of reverse stuff.
But from sitting, we get so shortened.
Yeah.
So you know, as you get older, your knees are bent. You know, people stand and they front load, so their quads are tight and they're sitting into their knees the whole time. And then you start to shuffle.
I never thought of that. That's really.
And then it's the shuffle, right? The gait changes. So by walking backwards, you strengthen the back of the knee, which helps get that extension. So adaflexion.
I can see that.
It can be very, very helpful.
You know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And if you think of the volume of stuff that you're doing, like I do a lot of reverse stuff trying to combat all the volume that I've done forward. So reverse cycling, a lot of reverse cycling, just anything that's opposing, because everything we're getting pulled over. So if you think about, you know, opening the system, you know, that
you look at people in gyms and they're doing the bench press and the curls, and it's all kind of curling you in more.
Of course.
We don't
when you get old, the fascial lines in the front of your body pull you over. That's why you get pulled. The hands get pulled in, the body gets pulled in, and you're going back into the fetal. And so anything that can open up that system that opposes it is going to be beneficial. You know, what I've learned from being hurt, right, over the years, being injured, and is that you get hurt and then you go do all these rehab exercises. And I'm like, that's weird. Why do you do exercises only when you get hurt? Why wouldn't you be doing those as part of your training to help combat getting hurt? So
what are they?
Just little weird stuff with light weights, whether it's range of motion and stuff where whether you're rotating. I mean, I've been hanging lately, hanging upside down. I mean, there's just there. You know, I have the fortune to kind of play with all of it. I mean, they say in China that the people walk 20 minutes a day backwards, that they do a lot of backwards work. They say in yoga that if the man who does 20 minutes of headstands or inversion masters time, because you're opposing all of the forces that are driving you down are pulling you up. So I think there's stuff to be said within that, but that's if you have that luxury. I mean, I think for most people, and especially in America right now, got to get in the sun. And you got to get in the cold. You got to be cold. Because if you don't have light, then you have cold. And cold is another force that helps make up for the lack of light, the way the system's set up.
Yeah.
So Minnesotans should live forever.
No, but that's true though.
But if they got cold, if they weren't wearing
two down coats, I guarantee you.
But be cold. Like
because that's boost you make light in your mitochondria, right? From the cold.
The cold makes light in the mitochondria.
It's like nature's compensation.
So the lack of sunlight in the northern and southern latitudes. So where there's not enough light to charge the solar panel, it can be charged through cold.
You know, I've made a career out of traveling to the world to the statistically healthiest people, and through kind of anthropology and interviewing and science and journalism, trying to piece together what are the constellation of factors that produce manifestly longer-lived people. And I know you have a podcast, and you kind of do that in your own way. You seemingly have found the amazing people. You bring them right here to your home. And I'm just wondering, of all these people you've had on, have you been able to distill out, wow, that I didn't know that, and I'm putting that to work in my life? What sticks out?
What is so inspiring is that whatever area they're coming from, whether it's a cardiologist or even a psychiatrist, psychologist, they're all coming back to the same principles of what makes people healthy, either emotionally or physically. So let's put sunlight aside. If we talk about chronic inflammation, right? Inflammation is good.
Root of every age-related disease, chronic inflammation.
So if we can mitigate or manage chronic, not being, chronically inflamed, you want to stay glucose. You want to have a sensitivity to glucose, right?
Which diabetics don't.
Right. And then metabolic and mitochondrial function.
How do we augment that?
Well, this is like sort of the way the cells communicate. So if we
They're
are
the powerhouses that turn
your little batteries
food into
right?
energy,
Yes.
After the sun. Yeah.
So it's like you start to realize okay, your microbiome, these other things that we were talking about, moving enough, eating reasonably. If we sort of just kind of spun that wheel over and over and then had people that we knew we could call and we could go out in nature, it's like if people just sort of look at that story that way and not overwhelm themselves. And so I think what has shown up more and more, though, is this idea of the importance of human connection. Mm-hmm. So I can get all scientific, but if we could start there, but I would say what I would go step further, the connection with ourselves and really sort of asking ourselves to have that relationship with ourselves first. And what happens is we're looking for a partner to make us feel satisfied, our children to do something, for somebody to tell me how to eat and how to move and all these things. I feel like if we could start with that relationship with ourselves and be in nature and have
well, let's hit reality. 70% of Americans are obese or overweight.
Yeah.
80% of them have some sort of metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
You take that average, where do you start? If you're a housewife in Iowa right now and you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I don't look very good. I don't have much energy.
Yeah, but that's not it. It can't be like I don't look. Has to go back to how do I feel?
Okay.
And so and what I always say is that you have to approach it with the two gloves. 100% accountability. It's not going to happen on its own. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a level of discipline and work. And unless we really cut the crap on that, that's just the way it is. And grace. Because if you fall off the wagon on the fifth day of your challenge, it's okay.
Big deal.
Go to bed, wake up, do your best the next day. But the problem is we don't we have neither one. We're beating ourselves up, in our minds. Oh, you're no good. You're da-da-da-da. And yet we're not taking full accountability. And so I think that these two things have to be with us at every moment, because in some ways it is hard, right? And like you have a kid and you have a job and you have a relationship and people are overwhelmed. It is hard. And if I don't take hold of this, it's not going to fix itself. And so for me, it's both those gears all of the time. But making excuses or I can't do that or whatever, then you're right, you won't.
I want to stress test you two on two almost opposing things I'm hearing from you. So in blue zones, nobody's working out.
Yeah.
Nobody's tapping into their discipline. Nobody is on a diet, an exercise program, a supplement. They're just living their lives. And, my central thesis is that longevity is way more a function of your environment than it is a function of your behavior modification. And I know you have this very successful business in XPT.
XPT.
XPT, which really kind of relies on a program, right? And then you, Laird, and the most powerful things I've heard talking to you today is sunlight, it's good social connection, it is not working out, but kind of playing out, to coin a phrase. I mean, that doing something you love. And none of these sound like they're work. None of them sound like they're a chore. They all seem joy-based. And I'm just wondering, when you juxtapose these two extremes in the approach to health, one is sort of doing what you love, but doing it every day. And the other is mustering the discipline and the presence of mind and the program and the resources. Where do you land?
Well, I think you don't realize on the Laird side,
misunderstood.
The output at the output is treacherous. So it can be how it's all fun.
That's not how he describes it, though.
I know, but his relationship with discomfort is unusual. And so let's not play games in there. The output is brutal. So that
But that's
works.
not what he, yeah, I guess
But that works for Laird and Laird's organism because Laird has a mission. And if what his mission requires is brutal. So he can't ha over here and then go do that. You will be ill prepared. So I think that's his language that works for him and where he's going to put himself. He's putting himself with places you and I are not putting ourselves. We're not putting ourselves in front of a 40, 50 foot wave.
No,
But
you
could
won't
also,
find me there.
but you could also you could also just.
But don't you laugh at did I read you laugh at the wave
Oh,
or
yeah,
something?
sure.
You could also ask, you could also ask, what is the definition of fun?
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's not mine.
At the end of the day, that I might find fun in XPT like activities. Like I actually can enjoy those. Those can be games for me. Like if we pull train or we're lifting or something, I'm going to make it a game. I'm going to make it fun because I'm not. I don't want to not have fun. I don't want to make it not fun. If it becomes not fun, that's, I think, for me personally, that's why I'm always changing.
Do you ever approach a workout as a workout or as a chore, or is it always fun?
Well, I'm trying to make it fun. If it becomes a chore, I stop wanting to do it.
Yeah,
it's not interesting.
That's a universal.
I'm conflicted when I hear this, though. I got to tell you.
Yeah, and also if you talked about those zones, like you talk about the blue zones.
Oh, it's so fun, and I'm like, is it?
Well, if you talk about the blue zones, what's your definition of fun? But if you talked about those zones, okay, they don't work out, they don't do any of these things. Okay, cool. But let's put a heart monitor on them. Let's put a walking thing on them. Let's do a thing. Let's see how long they're awake. Let's see all the things. Let's see how much activity that they did within that we wouldn't say they didn't go to a gym, they didn't lift weights, they didn't do a thing. Yeah, but the guy lifted 25 boxes of such and such at the farm, and then this guy went. And I mean, when you look at the output, you would be lucky to find somebody who was training at a gym on a regular basis and living his normal life here in this world that we live in that would be matched to his physical output per day. Because I have guys that I grew up with that live on farms, and Mr. Kanishi, who lived to 105 and worked in the taro patch, which is like a rice paddy his whole life. And he was a savage. But never lifted a weight, never went to the gym, didn't take any supplements. He'd wake up and eat an orange, and then he would be in the field for the whole day. And so again, he's where we should be looking for lessons, actually.
Well, you're right. But the thing is, no, I don't dispute this. We just are built. I mean, his is for his sport and mine is for sanity and a framework. Because also I train with a lot of people. So there's a community component when I train.
Which you probably love.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's also like, hey, my kid's going through this. Do you know someone? Or the dog has a thing. So it's like you use that moment. But you are right. I mean, those people, the way they're living, but we're so far away from that. So how do we're
having to build community through these other things. We're having to build community through XPT, through High X. We're supplementing.
Yes.
Like
we're
I said,
compensating.
I think that's the big, because I don't think the other people living in these beautiful homes and hills probably
we're compensating. That train left so long ago. And the problem is people don't even have a sense of biology anymore. I always say that that's the one thing I love too about learning about biology, because at the minute when you have the impulse to overeat something, you don't have to go, oh, it's wrong, I'm disgusting. It's like, no, of course, that's normal. You don't have to, but it's completely normal. I don't feel like working out. Right, because you're set up to conserve energy. It's all okay. Yeah. So how do you just navigate the thing? And so I think you're 100% right, but what the problem is we are completely in conflict with our biology the way we live.
Yeah. Are you guys happy?
I don't strive to be happy. I think I feel a sense of peace. If I can have peace, I feel good.
If I asked you to think of your life as a whole on a scale of 1 to 10, what you've achieved, how you feel physically, how you feel about your place in the earth, how satisfied are you with your life on a scale of 1 to 10?
I got 20.
You're a 20 and your wife's a 20.
I was 20. I was like, because it is all such a surprise, right? It's like, whoa.
I'm still here.
It's such a surprise.
I'm alive, and so it's a 20.
It's such a surprise. It's such an incredible surprise. I feel, it's one of those things.
What your life turned out to be, you mean?
Oh my goodness. What a surprise. I wasn't, geared for this, built for this. No, it was all like, okay, just, follow my instincts and, there's an opportunity, take care of the opportunity. But just to have like healthy, our children are dynamic women, young women. That's not to say it's not without its lessons, to be
ongoing challenges.
To be actually
for the record, Gabby offered me her children to take off her hand.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, good luck to you.
Exactly.
Actually, the fact that I'm in this long relationship is so surprising to me because I didn't grow up with people around me, and if they were together for a long time, it was like they sort of had a little bit of tone of disdain for one another.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was going to be in my cards, certainly. So yeah, I would say a 10. And even the real gift to be able to pursue something that you really enjoy doing as part of your work. What a huge gift that is. And I only appreciate it more as I get older. It's even like the relationship. I only appreciate the fact that I met Laird more now than when I met him, because I realized that isn't so typical.
Yeah. The question I asked Gabby, you think of your life as a whole, where do you put your own life satisfaction? How satisfied are you with your life on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I'm first of all, I'm thankful that I'm here.
Right.
Like that
I'm
still alive, right?
So
then if I look and I start to go, hey, what I've been able to do, what I've been able to experience, amazing. Like amazing. Like I just go like amazing. Like just one or two of the things during a life would be awesome. And I have multiple, the people I've been exposed to, the places I've gone, the things I've done. I mean, the family I have. I mean, I have 3 daughters that are amazing. I have an incredible partner that I love and respect. And I'm like, this is like beyond my wildest dreams, And
so it's a 10.
But it doesn't mean shut down. Doesn't mean, oh, cool, now just turn the car off. No, the car's still on. I'm still running. But it's if you said today, boom, this is it. Good job. Like I'm ready to go up there and be like, hey, hopefully it's okay. Like I rode some waves. I mean, I feel like I was part of the reason why I was here.
I feel like Laird runs between a 10 and a 2 constantly.
Well, what causes a 2?
What?
I see the 10. I don't see the 2.
Oh, and I say that because I think, okay, I'll put it to you. I'll summarize it even simpler.
And then I'll finish it up after.
And this was a great lesson for me. I walked in one day, Laird was in the shower, and I looked at him, and he could tell by the look in my eyes. He goes, think it's tough to live with? He's like, try being like this.
What was going on in the shower?
It's not that. It's when people have a calling, but they have to wait for conditions in this case.
Interesting.
So Laird lives in this interesting place, which makes part of also what's interesting about Laird is he's also waiting on Mother Nature. And so he is fully satisfied, happy. Yeah, I know I have a great life. He said that to me too. That's the other really important lesson. I know how fortunate I am. Mm-hmm. I know how blessed my life is. And I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Always, I sense this ingredient as striving. You're both still striving.
Yes, but he's waiting. It's different. I think I'm
Waiting
striving different. He is, because waves don't just show up.
Yeah, I might be waiting to get better.
Speaking metaphorically in life? Or
no, I'm talking the actual get my rig, get in the ocean, ride the things that will actually enthrall me and excite me. These conditions are pretty infrequent.
Yeah, but what if you never rode another wave in your life? Would
oh
you
my
not
God,
be happy?
we would not be married.
Really? I mean, are you serious?
I don't know.
A great
I think
stuntman
Laird,
that's once said,
oh my God.
There's a stuntman that said, never let your memories be bigger than your dreams.
Oh no, you don't understand. It's not like, if you said today, Laird, and let's say he lives another 40 years, it is not good.
if there's not waves.
There's a part of that recipe that's real, and it isn't about like, I have to do it the way I used to. I need people to know. I need you to understand. It's like for the sake of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Flow, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's not so easy to get bored, but not so hard you can't do it.
Yeah.
There's this famous psychologist that coined this term, flow.
Yeah. Well, flow state is also when it becomes.
What's that? His name was Mihail Csikszentmihalyi.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Well, and also flow state is a position where you're unconscious.
Yeah,
you're
that's
not
right.
consciously doing because you have done it for
away.
long enough that it becomes instinctual, and so you're able to do it without actually knowing what you're doing. You don't need to know what you're doing. You just know how to do it.
You Google U2, and it's just picture after picture of stud and beautiful and accomplished. And there's another side of U2 that is vulnerable, is hardship. You've been through something that's been difficult.
Listen, we almost got divorced in 2000, paperwork and all.
Wow.
Yeah, is that good? That was good. He liked that one.
I did.
How did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, we almost got divorced for real.
Had his shovel out.
He's like, yeah.
Found it.
I'm not looking.
I'm just teasing you, Dan. We're just teasing you.
I'm very vulnerable. I'm from Minnesota.
Take it
We're
easy.
humble and apologetic people.
No, don't do that. That's fine. No, so what happened there is we didn't have the skill set. We were together for 5 years. I was deathly afraid of relying on another person. You know, I didn't always live with my parents. I was very much like relying on myself. Laird is, open-hearted and like all the way, let's go and see what happens. And I got scared and ran away when there was a conflict, or I didn't know how to have conflict or speak up for myself or say what I wanted and needed or whatever the million things were. So, I'd say we went through a really...
Well, first of all, it's called a relationship. And when you're in a ship, there's storms, there's nice water. I mean, you go through the thing and then you just have to decide if it's worth it to you. And I think a lot of people have a tendency, as soon as the water gets rough, they just jump off the ship. They're like, hey, I don't want to be on this boat anymore. And I think for us, we went through, we've had tests along the way in the journey to decide, hey, you know what? You want to stay on this boat together and try to deal with it. And regardless of your ego or whatever things that are involved or you can't handle. I mean, I think a lot of it speaks to what's been beneficial is that we have a certain work ethic.
Yes.
A work ethic that we can implement into different things like our relationship. Like we've been through hardship.
I was thinking that actually when you asked us that, I thought, it's weird is it sounds counterintuitive, but it is also part of the discipline to go. First of all, I think both Laird and I separately probably have the belief that we chose pretty well I believe this is a good choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like having the right program. You'll work it, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to say that we've seen couples where maybe after 10 years or 15, maybe it's just not the thing anymore. That's okay too. I think that's part of it is where you go, all right, something's not good here. Let's get it there. Like, what's it going to take? How many conversations? How many do I need to make a change that seems reasonable? It's like all those things. And part of that is that ability to be kind of tough and discipline and say, yeah, all right, let's go.
And maybe survive long enough to actually get to a thing where it gets unbelievably great. Imagine that. Like you survived long enough that you got to a place where it's like it gets awesome, and then you're like, wow! But you would have never even known that had you just been like, I
if
can't.
You gave up early,
of course.
But we're in a new chapter right at this exact moment.
You're kidding me.
No, it'll just be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because our youngest daughter's about to move out in a week.
The open nester.
Yeah, so
period.
it'll be interesting to see because now we'll have this supposed, such a monumental cathartic new stage. But I think the other side that you're maybe not seeing or addressing is we're both in a different way pretty selfish.
I don't see that.
So that's what you're missing that you're not seeing.
I hate to say there's nothing about this conversation that makes me think you're
that's
selfish.
why you're missing it. A level of selfishness that both Laird and I have that it's an unyielding thing. So it's like you don't surrender that for anyone or anything. And that also gives you this capacity. So I think to not make it sound so Pollyanna and great, is the selfishness, the ruthlessness.
You invite people into your homes, you mentor kids, and
that's easy. But that's child's play.
That's the selfish act of giving. That's the selfish act of giving.
But that's also
what's
nothing.
Besides the selfish act of giving, how are you selfish?
I am so selfish. I am here to be of service to my family, and I have not surrendered who I am. And the level of being selfish that takes to just hold that one little piece of real estate for myself, because I know if I don't do that, I can't do the rest. Laird's quest, his journey, his calling, everyone in this family knows, and we all celebrate it. Let me pack your bags for you. I will never get in the way of that. I'm here for you. Because, by the way, we're not told or taught as young people that we can have some healthy things to be selfish about. And women, it's even worse. It's like really encourage them. If it's not destructive to the people in your life or yourself, man, fight for that. And so what I think what you're not picking up on is how selfish we both are.
It's mandatory. It's like mandatory I mean, because it's the way that she can be whole and I can be whole, and then together we can be together. It's not
I think that's a fairly novel concept, this idea that selfishness is actually a little bit of it's good, or maybe a lot of bit of it's good, but that we need to hold our selfishness sacred.
Well, and how can I expect you to be accountable if you're not selfish? If I'm saying to you, it's on you to figure it out, work it out, find the thing, whether it's in your movement life, your relationships, the ways you want to be of service, all the things. If I'm requiring you to be totally accountable, then the flip side of that is you then need to be selfish at the same time. And I think in athletics, it is very, very clear.
I come from an Italian family, and selfishness is frowned upon. You're here for the family, and you can expect everything from the family, but they'll expect everything from you. So to hear the selfishness, I actually agree with it and I honor it. But I don't think I mean, I've been marinating in happiness research for 15 years, and I've never heard anybody put, selfishness is part of the secret to happiness.
It's brutal. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't ask yourself, how do I feel? What do I want? How can I help? How can I support? Those other great questions genuinely come with the first brutal questions, I think. That's just been my experience. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's got us to today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah, come in like a couple months. So come in 2 years.
After this, who knows what happens.
That's right. So far, so good.
Right now, here we go.
We take it day by day. Day by day.
Remember, we started this.
We made it to 2 o'clock.
Day by day, Dan.
We started this conversation when I asked you what the secret of a successful relationship was. You said mutually assured destruction.
That's right.
That's right.
So that's a piece of relationship advice.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's right.
And be selfish. Here we go.
I'm not, and also I'm not Laird's mother, and he's not my dad.
Didn't I tell you that?
You told me I wasn't your mother.
Yeah. I had one.
Yes.
She died.
And sometimes I get lumped in with our daughters. He's like, you all. And I'm like, yo, I'm not your daughter.
Like, you all.
I'm you're,
I like to generalize for me. It's very fun
he does.
when you're in a house of women and be like,
you're the minority here.
You know how women are. And they all turn their heads. How are we?
Yeah, it is really funny.
And then I'll just throw chum out.
And they're brutal. These are powerful girls.
Oh, yeah.
And they all look at their dad and I'm like, oh, here we go.
He's a chum.
I just go in the garage and cry.
Yeah, so I think it's...
There's a vulnerable moment.
Yeah, go into the garage, cry a little bit, come back up. Okay.
Yeah, it's not selfish without the notion of being of service.
Yeah.
You wake up every day and you go, I'm going to try to just show up as my best self in the world. And so that means in all the ways. And I don't think, well, I've done this already and I've already done this. It's like, nope, today's a new day. I'm going to wake up today. And in all the ways that I show up, I'm going to try to be the best version of that, whatever that looks like. And I'll do the things that support that to the best of my ability. I'll probably blow it and say sorry to somebody or fall short or whatever. But I think it's that. For me personally, it's like, okay, today.
But you have this sort of mutually assured destruction. Both of you two are among the most beautiful human beings on earth. There must be temptations. You must have had women come up to you, Laird, and you must have had men. And is the idea that if one of you cheats, then there's going to be some sort of
Oh, it's not that kind of thing. It's not that mutually assured destruction. It's like, it's somebody who sort of like, I'll give you an example. Laird lives by a standard where he is very like so of service, so helpful, so everything that you could ask for. And I always tell my youngest daughter, and your dad would tell me to F off tomorrow. And so mutual assured destruction is two people living by a code that is like, oh, I'm so sorry, that way that you're speaking to me is not going to work, or that action or whatever. So it isn't walking around with a club or telling somebody they better, but it's like, if I'm going to be in this environment, then it's going to need these things.
Well, and working around with a club wouldn't work well with either her or I.
Not at all.
We're like, we're not the people to try to use a club against. We're just, that's going to have a counter
opposite
effect. And I just don't like to hurt my heart. I like my heart to feel good. So I protect my heart. And so I'm not into, doing anything that's going to damage my heart.
Well, I did ask Laird. I can say it directly. Why are you into being monogamous? Because it's really strange, right? Like when I met Laird when he was younger, it was like all these things. He goes, because I want to be happy. So somewhere in Laird's male wisdom, he has sort of looked at all the ways you can do it and thought in the long run,
monogamy is the way.
Well, there's a reason why they set it up like that. Like to be something to strive
simpler.
to. There's a reason why.
Well, what's that reason?
It's in your best interest.
It's just
how is it in your best
interest?
So
complicated.
I mean, we're sort of
genetic. How is it in your best interest?
Well, men are sort of genetically hardwired.
You're right. Of course. You're right. You're totally right. It's completely unnatural.
Yeah.
Right. But I think if you all of a sudden are going to say, hey, let's bring children into the world and we're going to do it's like we're in this cooperation. There's something, and maybe other people find it a different way, and I'm all for it. But in certain personalities, if I'm going to show up the way I'm going to show up for you and like have your back and do all the things to like see how much we can bolster you, it just makes it simpler if we're also now not dealing with a different personality. Now, couples might have different arrangements, and I think it's totally fine. I think for us, because we are also very intense.
I mean,
Laird, I think, is
dealing
way
with
more
one woman, like having just one. What do they say? Easy to please many women once, but try to please one woman many times. So that's a real challenge. Yeah, it's easy.
Forget a 40-foot wave.
Yeah, you can. That's child's play, But so it's like, I mean, at the end, I don't know. Everybody has their own way they want to, how they want to live. I don't want to. I'm good. Like if things are different tomorrow, they're different tomorrow. But
that's right.
But I've chosen to want to do it the way I'm doing it.
I think another point that's made it easier is, it's like we want all these things. Like, I want to be fit and I want to have an exciting relationship and I want to have fun and make my home a place that people want to come. Well, then you just have to be those things. I think people are expecting it to happen or the other person to do it. And the other part of that is I think you can sort of make it more of what you want it to be when you're trying to do the thing. If I want it to be a loving and nurturing relationship, if I try to be loving and nurturing to Laird, it feels like that's kind of what comes back my way.
Yeah.
And so I think that if people practice that a little bit in their life and just try and see how it works with a friend or, in a relationship, it's amazing how quickly the other situation is responsive. And if they don't, then you just go, I don't think it's working out.
Yeah, I got the wrong one here.
Yeah.
How do you resolve conflict? And I'm guessing that happens once in a while.
Yeah, quick and
quickly. She might sleep on it, and then I'll hear about it in the morning.
Yeah.
But that's rare. Usually I get her to come on and just. I mean, for me, I feel like
do you argue or do you just
we're not good bickering people.
Yeah.
And by the way, doesn't mean it's the right way.
Usually I make a snide comment and then I have to apologize. That's kind of how it goes.
I think Charleston Heston once was asked the secret to a 50-year Hollywood marriage, and he said 3 words: I was wrong.
Yes. Or I am sorry.
Yeah.
I have learned to apologize, though. I have. I always say Laird taught me how to apologize.
Oh, that's
because I was too scared to apologize. Because, it's like you have to be brave, and you also have to believe the other person won't run you over the head with it.
Yeah, and not having to be right.
Yeah.
Not having to be right. Not having to be a victor every time. Like, I think that's a big thing. I heard once, be right 10,000 times and see what kind of relationship you have. I just think that being right is like, okay, is it that important?
Right.
Like, is it that important for you to be right? That like, to be right, I'm going to be right and I'm right. And it's like, okay, cool. But at a certain point, about what? And
you don't win anything.
No. And a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's all absurd, like you just go like, okay.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, nobody has an answer. Everybody has only their own answers. And I think that maybe that's the task. How do you find the things in all the things that it works for you?
That's right. I think just hearing other people's answer makes you think about your own answer.
Yes.
And there's no absolute. I think there's a lot of wisdom in your life. These Hawaiian values that you've metabolized, this huge embrace of other people and other family and young people, this instinctive knowing that the environment is part of your happiness, water and sunlight, but also knowing that striving and a little bit of stress often yields happiness. You talk about hormesis in your saunas and your cold plunges. That's another form of stress. It's not comfortable to jump in 32-degree water or whatever, but you do it because at the end of the day you feel a little bit better because you've done it. And I think there's wisdom in that for all of us.
I also feel that for the most part, Laird and I, really what makes us feel good is pretty simple. I don't think it's that complicated. I don't, as far as like the needing and the wanting and all the things, I think both of us, maybe it's growing up on islands, the pursuit was for the sake of the experience or the creativity, not to like maybe get something. And
So your success is a byproduct of your passions, not the pursuit.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I could sit here all afternoon right through dinner, but I know you got something going on this afternoon. But
Yes,
you guys are so generous to let us in and open up your brains and your hearts and be a friend, really. Gabby especially. And we just met really one time, and you've been so lovely. And
of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very inspirational.
Well,
I think so too.
Thanks for coming here.
Yeah.
And what did John McEnroe say to you?
He said, "Don't be offended when somebody wants your picture, but start worrying when they stop."
Yeah. So in a way, it's always our honor.
That's right.
It's always our honor. Like, someone, So thank you for your time and bringing your career here.